everybody, my name is Lara. This is my science communication business, Theatre of Science. Now every week on my Facebook page I do a live stream where people bring stuff, like household objects, we do experiments, we get excited. Thanks to York Libraries and Archives we are doing something different today, okay? It's the summer holidays. We're just going to relax and just reflect on what we are and where we are. I've got my stretchy trousers on, get relaxed, sit still. Are you sitting still? No, you're not. Sit as still as you possibly can. Sit totally still. You're still not sitting anything like still. I'll tell you why. You might be thinking, oh, because there's air coming in and out of my lungs, Lara, and my heart is constantly beating so that I can be alive. Yes, that is true. But also, everything in the world is vibrating a little bit. Everything in the world made of atoms, they're all vibrating. Even big things are vibrating. They've got like a natural frequency. That's the speed of their vibration that sort of comes naturally to them. I'll give you an example. This wine glass is vibrating. You have to do this afterwards if you haven't done it already. Wine glasses are vibrating just like everything. They've got a natural speed at which they vibrate to and fro, to and fro, to and fro. If I move my finger across the top of a wine glass in a casual, unpracticed way, nothing happens. But if I do it at just the right speed, I can actually pull the particles of glass and then release them. And this, just like pushing a swing, this makes them vibrate more at their natural frequency. Just giving the glass particles a little push. Giving the particles of glass a little push and then letting them go, just like you would a swing. What happens is I can make it resonate, making all the glass particles vibrate more, just like a swing, going to and fro, to and fro. And they're vibrating so much that they're causing the air inside the glass to vibrate, which is creating a sound wave, which is going to my ears and through my microphone and to your ears. Is that lovely? Try it after this. But everything has a natural frequency. Your body right now is vibrating at 5 to 10 times per second. People who build vehicles or design vehicles, they have to be very careful that the vehicle does not vibrate at 5 to 10 times per second. Because if it did, what would happen to our body is the same thing that happened to the wine glass, and it's not good for us. Anyway. Sit as still as you can. Are you sitting still apart from your natural frequency? No, of course you're not, because you're on an earth that is spinning around. Look down at the floor now, if it helps you to visualise this. You are on an earth that is spinning. It's spinning at just less than 1,000 miles per hour. You can't tell because the walls around you are spinning, even the clouds outside are spinning and the trees. So you can't tell, but you definitely are moving very quickly through space. Apart from that, are you moving? Yes! Because the Earth is spinning, isn't it? But of course the Earth is also moving around the sun. So this is not a teacup ride we're on. This is a waltzer ride. The Earth is moving around the sun at 66,000 miles per hour. And not only that, but the sun, the solar system, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, they're all part of the Milky Way galaxy, this big cluster of stars. The solar system, our solar system with our sun in it, is also moving around the Milky Way galaxy, and it's moving at about 130 miles per second. Is that it? No. The Milky Way galaxy, the big cluster of stars that we call home, one of them's our sun, that is also moving at 360 miles per second. Right now, you, along with the planet and the sun and our entire Milky Way galaxy, are moving through space at 360 miles per second. But, and again, and again, and again. We don't know why. We think our galaxy is moving towards something massive. Anyway, let's bring things in a bit, okay? Let's concentrate on things that are close to us. Try and forget about all that space out there. Sit as still as you can. Take a few deep breaths in and a few breaths out. Breathe in. And breathe out. Close your eyes if it helps. I'm not going to do anything interesting. I'm just speaking now. Think about the inside of your body. What is inside your body right now? Well, a skeleton, Is there anything inside your skeleton? If you're a bird, then largely no. Your bones are hollow so that you can fly. But if you are a human being watching this, then actually your bones are full of stuff, red stuff and yellow stuff called bone marrow. Now give your shoulders a little wiggle. Yeah, feel your shoulder blades at the back if you move your arms forward and backwards. Feel your ribs. These bones are full of red stuff, red bone marrow. And red bone marrow, right now as I'm speaking, is busy making your red blood cells, which carry oxygen around your body, your platelets, which clot your blood if you get a cut, your white blood cells, which might capture any diseases you get. Your red bone marrow inside your ribs and your shoulders is making all the stuff that goes into your blood. Give your thighs a little feel. Inside your thighs are your long thigh bones, and inside the thigh bones is the yellow bone marrow, which is fats. Storing up fat so that you can do all the things that you like to do, like, breathing and speaking and walking and singing and dancing and all those things. Thanks, thighs. Thanks, ribs. Thanks, shoulders. And then you've got organs, obviously. You've got tissue and you've got skin. So you are a Homo sapien, a human being. Homo means human, sapien means wise. You are a wise human. But many, many different kinds of human have come before us. Just like the posh scientific word for a lion is Panthera leo, and the posh scientific name for a tiger is Panthera tigris. There have been many other kinds of Homo, not just Homo sapiens. Homo neanderthalensis is one of the most famous ones, the Neanderthals, or Homo erectus. They're all extinct now. Only us, we're the only Homos left. Lucky us. So put your hands on your head. We've got quite a few things in common, we Homo sapiens, that none of the other Homos had. We've got round skulls coming down a little bit. Feel your eyebrows. Feel your eyebrows are very close to your forehead. We're the only one of the humans that has that very flat forehead and eyebrow combination. Feel your third teeth along from the front, very pointy. They are your canines. You've got quite small canines. All the other Homos' teeth were bigger and pointier. And come down to your chin. No offence, but you've got quite a pointy, sticky out chin. We Homo sapiens are the only one with this pointy, sticky out chin. If you open your eyes, put your fingers either side of your chin and squeeze. When I was young, I don't know if you still do this, we used to ask ourselves the deep philosophical and scientific question, have you got a plum or a baby's bum? Squeeze your chin like this and you'll see a line appear or a line will not appear. You can see that I am absolute textbook baby's bum there. Look at that. It's the best one. Anyway, I digress. You're a Homo sapien, okay? Why do you look like you? Well, your body is absolutely full of a chemical called DNA. The cells of your body have got DNA in them, and DNA, the chemical, is largely responsible for who you are and what you look like, what colour your hair is, what colour your eyes are. Where does your DNA come from? Well, it comes from a female sex cell made by a female and a male sex cell made by a male. They come together, they've both got DNA in them, they mix up, and this ball of cells gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It's got a whole new combination of DNA in it, half from the female and half from the male, and eventually that grows into you. But where did that female get their DNA from to make that sex cell? And where did the male get their DNA from to put in their sex cell? Well, from other males and females. You might know them as your grandparents. So male sex cells, female sex cells get together, make a person, they've got DNA, and so the DNA in your body right now has been passed down to you by generation after generation after generation of Homo sapien. And your great times about 15,000 great grandma, she wasn't Homo sapien at all. She might have been a Neanderthal, she might have been a Homo erectus, but you've got some of that DNA in you as well. If you go back 100 million years, your great, whatever that is, grandma, was a fruit. Yeah, 1% of the DNA in your body was passed down to you by a fruit. If you go back 380 million years, then your relative was a fish. If you put your finger on your top lip and then move it up ever so slightly. So that bit of skin between your nose and your top lip, okay? You feel there's two little grooves on it, aren't there? Either side. Those grooves, that bit is your philtrum. And there is absolutely no reason why human beings have this philtrum, apart from the fact that we are related to fish. It doesn't do anything, it's not useful, it's just a sign that we are related to fish. If you go back 2 billion years, then your relative was a tiny little bacteria-like creature. And of course, thinking about coming back to our human body again, you are about 50% bacteria, fungi, teeny tiny little creatures. Okay, they don't live on you, they are you. The human body, just have a think about this now, your body is all kinds of different living creatures, all fighting for survival and working together. So just, take a palm of your hand. Let's have a feel of the palm of your hand. What do you notice? It's quite dry, yeah? So you can imagine your skin as being like a desert. So the palm of your hand, you know, your arm, you've got lots of dry areas where not that much life can exist. But if you feel behind your ears, you know where this is going. Or if you feel that your little crease where your chin and your neck meet, you feel that that's quite moist. That, to a microbe, a bacteria, or a little bit of fungi or yeast, that is an absolute treasure trove. That's like a river running through a rainforest. So we've all got a slightly different biome, we've all got slightly different creatures living on us. Yours is very personal to you, but they're all found in more or less the same places. There you go. So let's do some breathing now, okay? Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. So controlled breathing, that's what we're doing now. Deep breath in. It's very good for you. Breathing that you think about. This has been known, but like in India and in China, this has very much been a part of the religion for thousands of years. This is not new use, but controlled breathing is very good for you. Have you heard the science that smiling makes you happy? Just try it now. Do a really big smile. The science on this is a little bit iffy, but I really feel like it's true. Obviously, if the human body is happy, then you smile. But we think that possibly the reverse is true, that if you smile, you feel happy. It's working. I love you guys. So when humans are scared, tense, the breathing becomes very shallow, like this. Try it. Doesn't feel nice. When humans feel relaxed and safe, then the breath becomes deeper and slower. So if you breathe in deeply and slowly on purpose, then it sort of makes you feel safer and calmer. So do it. Do keep breathing while I'm talking, won't you? So what are you actually breathing in? Well, keep deep breathing and I'll tell you. So about 13.8 billion years ago, there was a particle. Very, very small particle. It wasn't hanging in space because there was no space. This particle is the only thing that exists 13.8 billion years ago. Time is not going by because time does not exist. All there is this particle. And then what happens? It doesn't explode because for something to explode, it would need to spray out into air, space, and there was no air or space. But this particle releases a huge amount of energy. Space is created, space stretches out. Now first, there are only tiny particles called quarks and tiny little packets of energy called photons. But eventually, space stretches enough, the universe cools enough that these little quarks start to gather together, right, and form little particles called protons. And eventually, space is cool enough that other particles called electrons are calm enough that they can get tied in with these protons and start orbiting them. So we've got protons with other little particles called electrons whizzing around them. That's an atom, and these atoms fly through space, and eventually space is calm enough that these atoms, just a proton with an electron going around it, they come together and they start fusing together. So gravity pulls them together, they get very hot, and they start bonding together to form even bigger particles. That's a star when that happens. Then inside the star, eventually, a particle is made that has 8 protons together, and that's called oxygen, and that's what you're breathing in right now. So the oxygen that you're breathing in right now, very likely formed in the centre of a star. So that oxygen is going down your trachea or your windpipe. You can feel it, feel your windpipe, you feel all those little rings of cartilage keeping your windpipe open so it doesn't collapse in on itself. Oxygen being pulled all the way down your windpipe into your lungs, and then right now passing through your lungs and into your bloodstream where the red blood cells are waiting, and the oxygen attaches itself to the blood cells, gets pumped all the way around your body, and the oxygen gets deposited at all your cells, and the cells use it so that you can live. Lovely. You're also breathing in a lot of nitrogen. Air is mostly nitrogen, but nitrogen particles are very tightly bonded together. So nitrogen is going down your trachea, your windpipe, into your lungs, and it's even passing into your bloodstream. But it's not doing anything else because the human body just cannot pull apart nitrogen in order to use it. But we do need nitrogen. Nitrogen, it plays a big part. It's what our DNA is made of. Nitrogen is very important. How do we get the nitrogen? It's okay. It's bacteria again. Bacteria living in the soil. Bacteria can pull apart nitrogen particles to produce nitrate. And plants take up nitrate from the soil and we eat the plants. Thanks, bacteria. Thanks, plants. So we'll do story time in a second, but we'll just bring it out a little bit now. We've talked about the body, we've talked about the air. Let's go just further out into space again. What else is travelling through our body? Well, one of the things travelling through our body, you remember I mentioned photons, those little packets of light that were made right at the start of the Big Bang. Well, when they first came into existence, they had a lot of energy. They're moving like this. Now, the universe has stretched enough that they're moving a bit, they've got a little bit less energy. We would say that they are microwaves. This is a gamma wave. That's what they were like a few billion years ago, but now they're microwaves. And they are still travelling through space. They are hitting you right now. It's called the cosmic microwave background radiation. There are also tiny little particles called neutrinos bombarding your body right now. About 100 trillion neutrinos passing straight through your body every second. Tiny little particles. They don't have a charge. They're not positive or negative. We can't control them with magnets or electricity. They're very small. They do absolutely no harm to us. They just whiz straight through. But 100 trillion passing through you right now. Where do they come from? Everywhere. Human bodies produce them. Bananas produce them. They come from the sky. They come from space. That's neutrinos. There is another particle passing through your body right now, which I'll tell you about in story time. Let's go. Right now, as we speak, high energy particles are bashing air to bits. Here's one, look. We say that they are ionising the air. So here's a poor oxygen particle in the air with a high energy particle booshing towards it, scientific term there. An electron is being bashed off this oxygen particle. And we say that the oxygen has been ionised. In the 1900s, scientists were pretty sure that these particles doing the bashing were coming from the ground. Marie Curie, very famous multi-award winning scientist, she proved years before that there were radioactive high energy particles in the ground. So it made sense to think that all the particles bashing into the air were coming from the ground. How do you test that theory though? Well, a chap called Domenico Pacini had an idea. He set up 2 detectors. He put one detector on the ground and he put another detector far, far out in the ocean. So his thinking was, right, are you following his thinking? If we think that radiation, high energy particles, are coming from the ground, then you would expect, wouldn't you, that the detector out to sea would show a much, much lower reading than the detector which was on the ground. But what Domenico discovered was that actually the detectors above the ocean and the detectors on the ground pretty much had the same reading. What's going on? Well, an Austrian physicist called Victor Hess was the one to finally work it out. He decided to take some measuring equipment up in a hot air balloon. So how far do you think you could travel in a hot air balloon before you started to feel a bit freaked out? For me, I would say about 3 meters. Hot air balloon rides available today will take you about a mile up in the sky, just under a mile. Victor Hess went over 3 miles up, and he discovered something very surprising. Air was actually, it turns out, getting more bashed 3 miles up than it was on the ground. Hey? Clearly, the particles doing the bashing were not coming from the ground. Victor obviously did the totally logical thing and went up in a hot air balloon during a solar eclipse as well, just to check. And sure enough, even when the sun was covered by the moon, there were still more particles doing bashing than he'd ever seen before. So clearly, they weren't coming from the sun either, as Victor Hess said. Since I found a reduction neither by night nor at a solar eclipse, one can hardly consider the sun as the origin. Victor Hess had discovered cosmic rays, high-energy particles that are coming to us from space. He ended up sharing the Nobel Prize for this discovery in 1936. So cosmic rays are about 90% protons, positive particles. And what happens is, in the upper atmosphere, they collide with air particles and produce a pion, little particle made up of 2 quarks. Pions exist for about 26 nanoseconds before they decay into muons. Muons are passing through your body right now. If you look at the palm of your hand, there's 1 muon passing through your hand about every second. So muons, they're a bit like electrons. They're negatively charged, but they're bigger. They're 207 times heavier. You can actually, if you've got some dry ice, some rubbing alcohol and a plastic fish tank, you can make a cloud chamber and actually see the cosmic ray trails for yourself. Or you can look it up on YouTube. So where have they come from? Well, low energy cosmic rays are coming from our sun, part of the solar wind. But the high energy ones, we're not completely sure. Somewhere in space, what might have happened is that these particles might have got too close to a black hole, and the incredible force on the black hole could have accelerated the particles towards Earth. But what is the point of knowing about cosmic rays? Why is knowing about them useful? This is probably not a question you're asking because you know that knowledge is awesome, but let's just pretend that you asked it, okay? The Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt is not just one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, it's the oldest. It's 4,600 years old, and it's the only wonder of the ancient world to be pretty much intact. So the Egyptian government are understandably very protective of it. But in 2017, they did allow some scientists to do some muon tomography on it. So muon tomography works a little bit like X-rays. There are muons, these little particles that are a bit like electrons but bigger, passing through everything, including the Great Pyramids. So scientists put a detector on the other side of the pyramid, and it took a really long time, but eventually there is a difference detected between the particles on one side of the pyramid and the particles on the other. So they essentially take an X-ray. More particles pass through empty space inside the pyramid. So you end up with an image. And what they discovered was a void in the Great Pyramid, a space 30 metres long, just above the Grand Gallery. This is the corridor that links the Queen's Chamber to the chamber which they think has Pharaoh Khufu's sarcophagus in it. Historians had, as far as we know, not predicted that this big space in the pyramid existed. We don't know what it's for. The Egyptian government, I think, quite understandably, won't let people in to explore it, but we know it's there. We know it's there because human beings used cosmic rays to study something that other human beings built 4,600 years ago. The universe, very connected and full of mystery. Thanks for watching. All images by Vecteezy. Okay, come out of my sandpit, you lot. And that, my friends, is the end of our reflective science session. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you so much, York Libraries, for letting me try something new. This was so fun. I'm really happy to have shared this with you. Thank you so much. I would usually do a big advert here about how you should like my Theatre of Science page. Yeah, you should do that. I'd show you a magazine that I write that comes out every 2 months and talk about how you can support me, because I do all my shows and lessons free online for everyone, but this has been supported by York Libraries. So I'm not going to do a big long advert. I'm just going to say thank you, York Libraries. Everyone, enjoy visiting your local library this summer. Bye! And that's where I'll edit it for YouTube. I'm just gonna chat to Zainab. You're very welcome, Zainab. Lovely to see you. Yeah, Eli, gotta love the library. Oh, hello, Angela and Cody May. Oh, thanks, Emily. Thanks, Jasmine. Yeah, I really enjoyed researching.